It is the Love of the Game podcast, season 2. This is episode 6. And for those tuned in and watching live on YouTube, I love you guys and appreciate you guys. But y'all see who's in the building. Y'all already know what time it is. Y'all understand how serious this is because y'all see who's here. For our listeners that are listening over SoundCloud and our international listeners who may not be familiar, welcome. Love the Game podcast, season 2, episode 6. We got a great show lined up, man. But for our guys listening over SoundCloud, I'm gonna attempt to give us some form of normalcy when it comes to how we rock out. So we'll get started. My brother from Ben Hill, Ben Real.
What's up, man? How you doing?
805 Pride.
I'm good, man. I'm good.
We got assistant coach for Creekside. I gotta make sure I say that first, bro. I gotta say it first.
You still coaching there?
Wow. Yeah.
Shut up, dog.
Hey, boy. Hey, it's always. Hey, we all got that one friend that always. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, watch that guy. He be.
Yeah, for sure. For
that was just a simple question. No, Mark, take out the glass. I need Mark without the glass.
No, I'm blind. Let me be blind. Let me
Mark
be blind.
Mark said the glasses are functional, bro.
Right. We don't need Clark Kent. We need Superman right now. We don't need Clark Kent.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, we got Bryce in the building.
Yeah, one more.
We got Bryce in the building, head coach of the Georgia Canes 17U, owner operator of the best freshman camp in the world, Craig. Big Lock, what up?
Yo, Lock's way is the only way.
And then last but certainly not least, your favorite trainer's favorite trainer. Hey man, I don't even know how many people are screen recording this waiting for you to say something wrong, Mark. Okay. They ready to be on your head, bro. Ready.
Y'all challenged me last time, man. Called me out. Said I was PG. No, I was G-rated.
Oh man.
Hey man. Hey, it is what it is.
Hey, we ain't in the studio now. You in your home. So you should
you can't tap me on the leg and say chill.
Go on your bag. You know your bag heavy.
Mark looked like Mark done ended so many careers on Twitter, bro. I know they waiting for you, dog.
Lot look like he just got from the club.
For sure.
Man,
I wish.
Coach Liddy already on it.
Listen. So again,
welcome to the cup game, huh?
Yes, sir. To get
OJ.
To get everybody used to the new format, interact with us. We've always been an interactive show. If you are watching on Twitter, we are live streaming. This is what they call it, a simulcast. I guess that's what they call it. But you can watch us on Twitter. We're live right now on Twitter. We're live on YouTube. Love of the Game YouTube channel. Make sure you like, subscribe. And anytime you put something in the chat from the Twitter joint, you tweet at us. We can show your tweets or your chat room chatter on the show.
Dre just shot us out. Coach Morgan.
I seen that.
Hey man, Coach Morgan been real. Now Dre Morgan been real with us from the early days too, from the very beginning, man. I appreciate that, man. Huge fan of what he's doing with his program too. I'm ready for a big year, Coach Morgan. I'm ready for a big year. I want to see y'all when we have a big dance again. Like I feel like that it's gonna come back. We'll have one next year, but I want to see y'all in it, man. Let's go.
Hey, Bryce, you look like your Wi-Fi ain't working again.
The AT&T man came today. He said it was working, but clearly it's not because I just got kicked off.
Yeah, you got kicked off. Had to come back in, man.
Hey,
y'all put me on blast in front of everybody again today, man. Y'all sound like Locke.
He was doing a robot.
that hateration and that holleration is starting to rub off on y'all.
Oh, hateration. Oh, man. I just speak the truth.
Hey man, so
Bryce hey Bryce, they say you gotta pay your bill.
Who said that?
Hey man, he got a 30-day reprieve on his bill. What are you talking about, man?
Hey, man. So let's start there, man. So the governor just extended our lockdown, which means a lot of stuff, right? Our lockdown is extended through May 31st. Does that mean that nobody's paying bills through May 31st? Anybody sending in them late fees?
We paying right. Ain't doing that.
This ain't Canada. They want that money now.
I pay your rent today.
We ain't about to be 2 months behind.
Right.
Yeah, I'm sending all my stuff in, man. T-Mobile was chasing me down anyway.
I had T-Mobile for like 6, 7, 8 years. I don't even know. They mad I left them with the Sprint.
I'm the only dude silly enough to go from Verizon to T-Mobile, bro.
Why are you silly?
Am I hustling backwards? I actually like it, and my bill is way less.
I like T-Mobile. They have good customer service too.
I like the bill. I don't know how much I like. I don't know if I care about the service, but I like the bill.
What you do need to do is switch that Android. Since we talking about
thank you,
for real, man. Yeah, that's
bro.
You need to get off that Android.
2020, man. Come on, bro.
God, bro. You know what?
Get tired of seeing these green balls.
I don't even know if our texts go through to you no more, man.
Hey, we be getting texted individually and stuff.
I know, right?
What is he talking about?
Y'all stay on my head about that, man. At some point, I'm gonna get rid of the Android. Y'all lucky I ain't got no flip phone. I'd take it.
I'd rather you had a flip phone than an Android.
No,
I'm gonna upgrade. No. I was standing in the store about to buy a iPhone, and I was like, man,
that's the story. That's the story. You sticking to it?
I can't be a quitter. I came into this Android game, dog, early, dog. I'm gonna give up.
We all did. We need to go on quick.
We all did. We gotta graduate sooner or later, man.
Hey, man. I guess I got to. Hey, yes. So listen, this is why we're here. What do you guys think about the scheme? We're here for this, man. We're gonna talk about this lockdown for a second, but we definitely gonna get to the scheme, and we'll answer every question that you got. I mean, not that we have any inside information. Mark might, but I don't. That's why we got Mark on here.
This is the state of Georgia, man. Basketball goes through the state of Georgia, so
for sure,
it's touched each of us. Everybody. It's touched everybody.
Can I say one thing before you get into it, Madre? I just want to say one thing, that tomorrow we got a press conference. Georgia Canes press conference at 10:30 in the morning. Be there, be square on Twitter. We'll see you then.
A Georgia Canes press conference?
How y'all
having a press conference? Ain't no summer.
Hey man, I don't send Georgia Canes like 10 kids, man. So they might have a monster squad, man. I don't know.
Yeah. But the problem is, man, these people are sitting around now and they like starting to text everybody and stuff like that. So
to text and say what? Nobody's playing right now.
They're trying to recruit.
Yeah, they still recruiting. It's a longer period for them to recruit. Like we would have been played 2 weeks ago, so it would have been done deal. You know what I'm saying? Right. So now it's a longer time for them to recruit. So, but anyway, we got a press conference at 10:30 on Twitter. Be there, be square. See y'all tomorrow, Georgia Canes. You know what I'm saying? How we do it.
People are already reaching out to my kids as well. But they were doing that before. They're still doing it. But I don't think there's going to be a summer at all. I don't know.
No, I don't think so either.
And it's not necessarily about here. Like
we talking about, it might not be a fall. What y'all talking about? Summer.
Facts.
Summer done.
That's facts. It's over.
It might not be a fall. Football season might be canceled. It's a lot to talk about, man.
For sure.
I guess I'm still in the positive thinking that at least July will happen.
I feel like we're leaving in July.
How come I can't hear Huff? Huff got an Android?
Nah, no Android here.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
We at least should get July.
We kind of talked about how we were affected on the last episode. Mark, how you're a trainer, like, so this definitely is impacting you. Like, what has life been like for the last 3 weeks from a training standpoint?
It's been rough because I have a lot of clients who were looking forward to having big springs and big summers, and that's done. The only problem that I'm really foreseeing right now is kids being motivated to get up on their own and go and get in physical shape. Like get up at the crack of dawn, and go run some miles, go do some sprints. How many push-ups are you doing in a day? How many sit-ups are you doing? How many toe raises, jumping jacks? Do you own a jump rope? How many kids own an outdoor basketball that they can go outside and dribble around in their subdivision? Like you have to figure it out. I'm from New York City, so there was times where it just rained and snowed, and we figured out ways of dribbling that damn basketball in that house and figuring it out. So this is that kind of time. So I mean, for me, the game is going to go on when they let us go again. But what are these kids going to look like when we come back? That's going to be the issue. And how are coaches going to really be able to judge them when, like, real talk, the high schools, like, if you get caught in high school right now, man, that's a problem.
Yep.
That's a major problem. Like, if I'm a head coach, that's the hell of a risk for me to take. Like, I'm a risk of my job to let you guys in the gym, and what if somebody gets sick and all that? So it's too much at stake right now.
I mean,
so
Mark,
we've got to fight through this, but the kids got to figure out how to do it, from their homes.
It's funny Mark says that because the GAC, which is the Georgia Athletic Coaches Association, sent a direct message to all coaches that said, if you've got players you're trying to work out in your gym, that the liability insurance that organization gives you, they're not covering you. You're on your own, bro.
Wow.
So coaches of any sport shouldn't be having anybody out there trying to do anything.
That's crazy. That's crazy. So if for those coaches that may be getting guys in the gym one-on-one or whatever, opening your doors up, yeah, there is a risk. Like
it's a livelihood risk.
That's crazy.
You try to lose your job to work that kid out right now.
I know.
And let's be real. We're talking about what the governor talked about, but we've got to. I don't know if it's condolences, but like there are 2020 kids. Forget about the ones that's trying to get scholarships. Like they're not having proms and graduations anymore.
Yeah,
like spring sports seasons have been canceled. We may have basketball players that ran track, played baseball, did something else. Their seasons are done. So.
Yeah, we talked about that before too. Telling a senior that you don't get to walk across the stage to graduate, or there's no senior prom.
Dang,
those are real impacts. No, Mark's coming back. We having an audio issue. Mark can't hear Huff, so he's coming back. So those are real terrible. I mean, that's tough, man, for a kid. Like I've been in the gym, looking at high level players asking about, hey, we got to play this last game. Can we leave and go to prom? Like that's something that kids are really looking forward to. So
it's like a ton of kids who always say, live period land on prom nights a lot of times. So a lot of kids like, all right, I'm gonna play in live period my junior year, but my senior year I'm going to the prom.
Right.
Well, let's go back to what me and Bryce were kind of disagreeing on. Like, what are these kids gonna do who aren't taking these offers right now? They don't have a shot. You're 2020. You have what's there. How long are you gonna continue to wait before you accept an offer, whether you think it's the offer you're supposed to have or not? What are you waiting on right now?
Man, as many times as I've seen kids blow up, that are unsigned seniors that blow up in April, and get a better, situation or more offers to choose from, I guess I should say. it does look kind of dangerous to continue to wait now, because when I saw that Virginia is shut down until mid-June, and New York and Washington State and California will likely be on lockdown longer than that, even though it's not official yet that I know of. It start letting me think about, Atlanta is a hub. Basketball is so great here, not only because the teams are so great here, but everybody comes here to hoop at some point. Like, if you're good, you're bringing your team through here. Well, if they can't leave where they are and can't get here to play, I mean, even if it doesn't get as bad as other places in Georgia, we're still going to be impacted from a basketball standpoint.
I'm not even thinking about those kids. You're talking about more 2021 kids. I'm thinking about the kids.
Even 2020s.
Like, well, we know we're not playing. They're not playing in June or July anyway. We're talking about the kids that's supposed to be playing in the spring
and April, yeah,
and April.
Unsigned seniors.
Yes. What are they like?
Well,
they can do virtual. They can do virtual tours. They can talk to the coaches. That's about it. You got to make a decision at some point, or their coach is gonna move on.
A lot of these kids are gonna end up going the prep school route. I feel.
Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah, I feel the same thing.
Because just being honest, the benefits of having a higher level education is worth, the fee as far as prep school. If you really feel like you're a scholarship athlete and you didn't get the looks, then I think prep school is definitely the way to go. It's just a matter of doing your research and finding the correct one. I know Bryce has had a lot of success with that, helping his kids do that. I mean, Huff, you've had kids go to prep. Yep. I mean, you know how it is. So I think that's a valuable route right now.
I mean, and it definitely depends on, of course, what prep school you're going to, because I mean, I've seen in the last week or two a whole bunch of pop-up prep schools.
Oh yeah,
and I'm like,
and that's my thing, Bryce. I think I wonder how flooded that market is gonna be for those quality prep schools. Like, they're gonna have a selection of kids that they wouldn't normally have, though, right? I mean,
I still think they're gonna recruit the same way that they recruit any other way as far as the talent goes. You know what I mean? So they're still looking for the top talent they can get, I think.
Right.
Well, I got another question. Economically, what happens if they can't make it? I've seen already D3 schools, they don't have the money anymore. D3 schools are some are shutting down their programs.
Mm.
Wow.
What happens if these prep schools that usually have money now don't have the money and they can't open up their doors?
That's what you really got to do your homework, and when it comes to that, and hope that doesn't happen. But I mean, a lot of prep schools who have been around for a long time, especially the ones in like the Northeast or some that are in the South, I mean, they should be okay. I'm assuming. I don't know.
Mark, I know you've done this a lot. What would you tell a kid who is talented? He has offers, but maybe it's not the offer he wants right now. Would you say go prep, or would you say let's go ahead and take this mid-major or low-major offer?
Hold on. Are you saying offers as in more than one, or because
he's got more than one? He's got more than one. So I'm not talking about a kid that just has one. I'm saying he's got a choice to make. Should he go ahead and make that choice between those, or continue to wait, or go prep?
Well, personally, I'm very unorthodox when it comes to this. Each kid is on a different path. Yeah. I've had kids actually sit out an entire year of school, take 8 credits online, enroll in school, take 8 credits online, which doesn't make them a full-time student. So they don't get their clock doesn't start. So I've seen them work out, go back, play another year in the following spring, and get a scholarship offer, a D1 or a D2 scholarship offer. Those are the extreme cases. But in this case, I feel like some of these kids shouldn't take just anything, because the transfer portal is huge. Like, it's huge in every level. You know what I'm saying? We have a high school transfer portal. If you really want to do that.
Yes, we do.
I remember Sandy, the Kyle Sandy dude, put up a kind of like a transfer portal a couple years ago, and people got mad because he kind of introduced some stuff that, it wasn't official yet, but he still put it out there because he had good, good sources or whatever. But people are gonna, if you go someplace you really don't want to be, it's because you have to. You're not going to be happy. You're not going to be focused on your studies, and you're not going to be focused on basketball. And you might go someplace where you don't really have a good basketball relationship with that coach. Your AAU coach, your high school coach, your mentors don't have a good relationship with the staff. So all that hurts you, and eventually it's going to cause you to transfer anyway. Because unfortunately, and let's be realistic. A lot of our kids are going to school for basketball and not academics, unfortunately. So for me, I always tell people it's important to get the best of both worlds, if possible.
So can we go out on a limb and say that if you have solid offers, Division II, maybe Division I, maybe even NAIA, we taking it?
I say take it right now. If it's solid, if you got solid offers and you're trying to go bigger, here's the thing. Somebody talked about it the other day. They said, Horace Naismith talked about it on his Twitter the other day. In speaking to an NBA coach, he said if he had a son that he knew could play ball really well, he would have him play a level lower. If he was a high major, he'd have him play at a mid-major and dominate the mid-major so he could be seen more. Because he'll play right away, he'll put up bigger numbers, and the NBA is going to find you regardless to where you are because of the internet. You can't hide nowadays. Talent is talent. If you're honestly that good, take that offer, and maybe that offer gets you a bigger offer. Maybe you can transfer up, or maybe you stay there and dominate and still get to your final destination.
Very true.
I agree with that, Mark. 110%. Because I had an argument with a couple guys yesterday, and they was just basically like, let him go high major, And I'm like, yeah, he can go, but is he gonna have a good career there in those 4 years?
I mean, yeah, you're right. I mean, we can call our kids by name.
It's hard.
To Mississippi State, and they back home now.
Yeah, you can call any names for that.
Like, should they have went lower? Should they have went mid-major and dominated? I don't know. I don't know what happened at Mississippi State.
Let me ask you this, Mark. What's the difference between someone going low major or D2?
Right.
Like a Lincoln Memorial. Then you got a
lower
major Division Ones are on TV still. Like
it's still on ESPN3. I saw almost all the games on ESPN3. They play Iowa. They play Wofford.
Would you not choose a low major D1 or a powerhouse D2 like Lincoln Memorial?
What are you looking for? I guess it's a part. What are you looking for? Do you have a relationship with one of the coaching staffs? Like, all that has to play an impact. What's the major does each school offer? Maybe that D2, and I'll go this. Maybe that D1 is saying, hey, you're 6'8". We want you to play the 5. And maybe the D2 is saying we want you to play the 4. So maybe the position that they're trying to get you to play makes you choose which one you're trying to go. Now, please don't get this mistaken, kids and parents. A lot of times coaches are going to tell you what they want to hear, what you want to hear from the college level. Oh, sure, you'll be a wing for us. Yep. Mm-hmm. And you get there and you play in the 4.
Yeah. And they throw you down there.
Now, isn't that what's going on with the kid
Landers Nolly?
Yeah. From I don't know the kid personally, but what I've heard is he's interested in playing on the wing, but they put him at the 4 at Virginia Tech. But he still had great numbers, but he wants what he wants. So at the end of the day, he's gonna do whatever it takes to make himself happy. And that's his prerogative. Like, we can't judge kids for saying, I want something different.
I want to go high major, yeah.
But that's why I just go back and this is just me. I'm not gonna tell a kid, even if I miss out on them, you're gonna play the wing, man. And then you get there, and I'm gonna lose him in a year anyway. And he may be pretty good, but now he once you start playing him at the 4, and you said, Coach, you told me I'm gonna play the wing. Every day he's losing respect for you. Every day that could change the culture of your program.
Yeah,
that's my thought.
That locker room. Yeah, they kids start talking.
Because when you start bringing another kid in on a visit, they have time away from the coaches. Yes, and he said, "Man, you can't believe what Coach tell you now. He's gonna tell you what you want to hear."
You know, you guys are making really good points, but the one thing that has bothered me over the course of this hiatus, I guess you can call it, is the fact that the college coaches or whoever else it is, they're using this virus as a means to tweet out and say, "Oh, you don't know what you got. You might want to take what you got." Like,
You're right. Playing that.
Bryce, I had a game. I had a bigger issue.
Understand that to you know what I'm saying? Because it's like
I had a bigger issue, Bryce, with coaches saying that before COVID-19, right? And I always, like Mark said, I feel like every player is on a different path or a different journey.
Yeah.
Now, if you are a little guard, I might be saying, "Hey, man, who do you have a really good relationship? You might want to take what you got. You're 5'9", right? Whatever you got, April 1st, you may want to just go ahead and take it. That's different if you're 6'9" and athletic.
Yeah.
I wouldn't necessarily say that to a guy that's 6'9" and athletic.
But here's my thing. Just because you're 6'9" doesn't change. We just talked about it. There's over 550 Division I transfers out there.
Yeah.
And some of them are 6'9" too. Then there's the JUCO kids who out there that's 6'9". So what are you doing?
So the only point that I'm getting to is that when you're out here, you gotta have a plan, and it has to be more than just I want to go high major.
And it got to be more than a plan. You better have the right people telling you the right things that surround you, and you better believe in the people that believe in you, that value you as a person, that value you as a basketball player, that want to see you more than just how many points you can score on the basketball.
100%.
Like if Mark sends me a kid, I'm gonna try to have a brief meeting with him, even if it's only 20 minutes, and his parents, to try to get on the same page. Like, what do you want out of this situation? So we know how to, tailor our tweets and our videos, or how we know how to talk to the coaches. So, and the plan, and then we try to execute that plan. And that's why I think that we've been able to do what we're doing. But a lot of people just throwing the jersey on, they going to play. That doesn't necessarily, if I might need to change your position for the spring and the summertime to help you.
That's a bigger conversation. As of late, I've come to realize that the biggest enemy of these kids is their expectations, and also the expectations of the parents that are unrealistic. Huff, how many times, and you've been at this, and you've put a lot of kids in Division I basketball, Division II basketball. How many times have you ever had success in telling a kid, you're not a Division I player? You should take that Division II offer, or you should focus on your academics and take that Division III offer because that's a high academic school. What's your major? You're very intelligent. How many times are we really appealing to what are we doing this for? When kids first start playing basketball, COVID cough. Hashtag COVID cough. When these kids first start playing basketball, the conversation is always about
what are you trying to get out of it?
Yes, I want my kid to go to school for free. I want my kid to go to school on a scholarship and not have any worries in the world and so forth. And basketball can do all these things for you. But when it changes, when does it change? At what age does it change?
I'm gonna tell you, as a parent, those parents are lying. They lie to me every day.
So Mark, I'm gonna tell you. Mark, I'm gonna tell you what my thought is. This is what I've told people who will listen. no disrespect. So Bryce and Mondre, y'all understand where I'm coming from.
For sure.
I think now with AAU, since kids have been playing since 4th, 5th grade, there becomes an entitlement that begins at that age. And so now parents think, well, my son's been playing AAU since 4th, 5th grade. He's supposed to start, or he's supposed to be on varsity as a 9th grader.
Yeah.
As a 10th grader, he's supposed to start.
That
means when he gets to be a senior, he's supposed to have a Division I scholarship.
Basketball changes, like you might dominate in 6th, 7th, and maybe 9th grade, but when you get to 11th and 12th grade, basketball totally different.
Everybody caught up.
Hey Bryce, how many times have you been to a high school basketball game and somebody says, "Yo, he was good in middle school"?
every game.
Sometimes, like
every game.
That's what I'm gonna start hashtagging that. When somebody doesn't play well, how did he play? Well, he was good in middle school.
Dre, pull up Coach Baldwin's comment right there.
He was right in middle school too.
But and this is the thing though too, man. Like they see other people who they have played well against, and Bryce said this on the show before. Bryce was like, "We only follow kids up to the point of the commitment, and we stop watching. We don't talk about enough kids' journeys after they sign and after they get in college because there's a big piece of information that's missing." So they see a kid that they played against and was like, "Oh, well, he went at this level and my son is better than him," whether that's true or not. But they get into that and they want that shine. It stops becoming about being every parent starts at the same spot.
And that's the thing.
I want my kid to go to school for free.
It's not even about if player A is better than player B. It's about if coach needs what he needs. It's not, you know what I mean? It's not exactly. It doesn't even.
So again, I'm gonna throw Daniel Bowles of Brookwood said a lot of times just what you talked about, Mondre. All right, so they go in a game, and let's say it's Daniel Bowles' kid, and they play Norcross, who's in their region, and a kid on his team scores 20 points versus, I'll just use Cal Sturton, just because his name's out there, he just committed to Georgia Tech.
Yep.
Just because you scored 20 points versus him, supposedly versus him, does not mean you're the same level basketball player as that kid there who has high major offers.
Doesn't mean you should be going to Cal because he went to USC.
Right.
It does not.
And the second part is, if you pull up what Coach Corey Baldwin's put down there, I agree with him. He says, you are who recruits you. Nobody wants to hear that. You are who recruits you. So if all you have is mid-major and low-major offers, that's who you are.
You probably need to go low-major.
You say that. So I know kids who have D2 offers.
They won't
tweet them out.
They won't.
They don't want to be labeled as a D2 player.
Yeah. We had a kid. We had a kid to play last year, and I thought he had a great D2 opportunity. So I was like, man, that's a really good opportunity.
Are D2 players playing in NBA?
Yes.
Okay, so are D2 players making money to play basketball?
And that's where I feel like we fail them, Huff, is that we don't give enough information about what happens. I know who Bryce talking about too.
Should have took that Catawba off, boy. Should have cut that.
I'm talking about him. But yeah,
talking about North Georgia. Talk about North Georgia. Should have took that North Georgia off.
Yeah, that was too.
Any of them, really.
But one thing that stuck out though, I had somebody from Morehouse actually reach out to me.
From who?
And from Morehouse actually reach out to me and let me know how many kids they've actually offered in the Atlanta area. And even told me, hey, we brought this kid out for homecoming. They didn't commit. Wow.
They went to homecoming and didn't commit?
Went to homecoming and did not commit, bro.
What else did they have? I'm just going to be devil's advocate. Because that's a little wild if they went to homecoming.
I said,
who's homecoming they go to?
They said Morehouse, Bryce.
And they ain't commit.
They might
with the wrong group. You might with the wrong person.
And decided to just wait it out. And that's what they're doing. They're waiting it out. And,
so what do they have?
I was blown away. I don't want to talk about it because I don't want to get anybody to know who the kid is or any.
Hold on. Do people understand?
Hey, stop,
what
Locke.
a Morehouse offer
Mark,
is?
preach, Mark.
Nah, they
preach,
don't.
Mark. Preach,
They don't.
Mark.
Hey,
Talk
Do
about
they
it, Mark.
understand?
where my phone is?
They don't know that we're the
right
best
next door
in the country for educating
Right.
African American men.
They don't know. They don't know the lineage of Morehouse men, man. They don't understand. You know Samuel L. Jackson, Spike Lee, Martin Luther King. You know the list goes on and on.
Doesn't Morehouse haven't they graduated or put more black doctors in the country than anyone?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and lawyers. Yeah. Yep.
Engineers too, if I'm not mistaken.
Businessmen.
They have a dual degree program with Georgia Tech for engineers.
More black engineers than anybody else in the country, and the kid turned them down. It's crazy.
So you want to be an engineer major? You have your the degree. Say Morehouse and Georgia Tech. Come on, bro.
You realize Denzel Washington's son went to Morehouse and played football. All their Russian records, and now he's a big time actor.
And he had a shot at the league, the NFL. He actually was
with the Rams. With the Rams,
He was with the Rams.
It's so I definitely feel the schools from that standpoint because I give them a hard time, right? Like, hey, recruit the city. Like, kids should want to go there, and they reached out and was like, yo, hey, we just want to give you some facts. Hey, here's a list of some guys that we've offered. And here's who did not come. And I was blown away because I think that is a tremendous offer. Like,
man, it's hard to beat a Morehouse offer because of how much money the school costs, the campus life, you're living in
Bryce, you being politically correct.
Yes, he is.
Let's talk about the social life, please.
Hey,
keep all the social life.
The social life. That's what you cannot beat it. You cannot beat it.
You can't beat it.
It's,
for those kids who
we was at compound every weekend.
Yeah,
it's a good time.
So you have the social life. You have, this.
Getting the whole.
That's a very underrated situation for a lot of young black ball players in Atlanta. Morehouse should have the top Division II basketball team in the country every year because we have a multitude of Division II basketball players that leave this state that are really, really good. Really good.
And they do play Division I. Shoot, they were at Kentucky a couple years ago. They've been at Georgia. I can keep going down the list of D1s they play, but nobody wants to play D2 these days. Everybody just wants D1.
They're missing out.
The education. The education is what it's all about. That's why I go back on, like you commented and said, once they commit, we don't talk about what they're doing in school anymore. Well, the parents aren't bragging about what they're doing in school anymore. The parents are talking about, well, he's got a 3.5 GPA in college, not like high school. So for me, you have a lot of kids who sign at a higher level than they can play because of the name recognition. Your parents picking a school for you because I want my kid to go to Duke. I want my kid to go to Kentucky. I want my kid to go here and there and there, instead of them going to Mercer, instead of them going to Georgia State, instead of them going to Wichita State. You know what I'm saying? Murray State. Schools where guys have gone to the league from. If you're great at basketball, if you're one of the top 450 players in the world, the NBA will find you. If you're not, get your education. Get your education. It's free.
And you still have an opportunity to be around the game. Like that's the thing too. Like you still have an opportunity to be around the game.
You know what? Talk about the game. Let's talk about the fact that we're always wondering why there are not enough black head coaches in college basketball when we're neglecting the fact that there are only 15 black athletic directors in the country.
Yep.
And how many Division I schools are there? And we're talking about boys and girls. There are only 15 black athletic directors.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So that's a different path that some of our kids are not even inviting. They're not even searching that path because it's like, oh, I want to be a coach, or I want to play ball, I want to go overseas. How many kids go overseas, then they come back from overseas? Here's the key for you fellas. If they come back from overseas a lot of times and they got their jersey on, You know what that means? That means they got sent home and didn't get paid. That's what it means a lot of times. So, you see guys playing pickup. Yeah, I was in Turkey. Yeah, you was a turkey. You ain't get paid. You played in a low league. They sent
Mark,
you
you just made a great point. People always talk about playing overseas, and they don't realize there's different divisions of that thing playing overseas. Like, I'm going to
$1,000 a month.
Yeah,
you make $1,000 a month. And here's the thing. So I'm sorry, I have to decode it for everybody that don't know this overseas thing. So your friends will send you pictures and videos of them working at the YMCAs and doing camps and so forth.
That's how they make their money.
They have to do that. That's how they make their money.
Yeah.
That's how their apartment is paid for, their car, their food is paid for, because they're playing in lower divisions. When you're playing in the upper divisions, you ain't working. You ain't working on camps. You ain't babysitting nobody kid. You know what I'm saying? So, why would you do that? Why wouldn't you come back here, finish your degree? You could be a GA. Be a GA, work at the school you just played at, and that way you can work on your master's as well. You know what I'm saying? And make connections around the country. You never know where that leads you. Too many of our kids are chasing a basketball dream when the ball is stopped bouncing already.
And I'm gonna piggyback on that because we were on Morehouse. Justin Miller is one of the best players to ever come out of Morehouse.
I got stories about Justin.
Yeah,
I got stories about Justin.
And if you look at him right now, he's one of the top lawyers in this country. With a Morehouse degree, but he played basketball. He used it and was still able to get his education. So I know we got to get to the scheme, but I had to just throw my guy Justin Miller a shout out.
What happened to my man Kenny Smith? Where's my man Kenny Smith at? You know Kenny Smith? I went to Morehouse with Justin.
Yeah.
Man, we used to be at run and shoot, man. Like, hey, boy, those were the days.
Well, while we're on college basketball, we might as well go ahead and get this out the way. One quick thing before we get to the scheme. I don't know if you guys feel like this is something or nothing, but a article just came out on ESPN that apparently Tom Izzo reached out to the victim of a incident on one of his players. Basically, one of his players was, I don't want to use the wrong charge, but it was either like sexual harassment, sexual assault, or something like that. And he reached out apparently and talked to the player and to the victim before they had a opportunity to speak with like police or campus administration or whatnot. I don't know enough to know anything. The only thing I will say is, for the guys that maybe have more knowledge than me, when an incident happens on campus, what normally happens? Does anybody know? I don't. So I'm just asking the question openly. I don't know.
That's what's called a Title IX issue. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, that was in the article.
Immediately, lawyers have to get involved, and no statement should be made. It's improper for the coach to contact the person that's filing the charge and so forth. So something should happen, with this. But Tom Izzo is one of the elite coaches in college basketball, and I don't think this hurts him. I don't think this does anything. I just don't. I think it'll go away. Just me personally, I think something should happen, but honestly, I don't think it's gonna affect him. He'll apologize. He'll get on them. He'll get on there, and he'll cry a little bit, and it's over. Nothing ever happened.
I don't want to.
Nothing ever.
Most of my opinions are basketball related. I agree. Most things never happen. Most of my opinions are basketball related. I don't want to do an injustice to the victim because I don't know who the victim is in this situation. I don't know what happened. I just saw it pop up on the article and wanted to understand like what the process normally is. So before I start spouting off at the mouth about what I think basketball related to this, I want to be sensitive. that there could be a young lady that is a victim, or they could be somebody that's been falsely accused of something, and I don't want any part of that. But I did find that interesting that it was on the front page of ESPN, maybe because we don't have anything else to do. So the scheme took place. First thoughts. You got. I know we all watched it together, probably like a family, not in the same place, but like on Twitter, collectively watching it together. I'll just open it up and throw it out there, man. What did y'all think?
Well, it was a lot of good, man. I honestly, like, I couldn't tell how much of the whole thing was fabricated from both sides. I'm just being honest. Like, I just don't know. Like, I feel like the kid, the young guy, was on his way to being able to do making some power moves, or he had already made some power moves, and he was really about to take over some things, kind of like Rich Paul, and they shut it down. But at the same time,
how young he was.
Huh?
I was shocked by how young he was.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, he's only 27, I think.
Yeah, so we talking about somebody at the time that was like,
young,
23. Like, he was a young dude.
Making moves. Yeah. I don't know, man. I don't know.
I've had, 4 of the 5 college coaches I know personally. They're personal friends of mine: Merle Cole, Tony Bland, Book Richardson, and who's the last one? Oh God,
Lamont Evans.
Oh, Mont, my man, yeah. Mont, and then I know Chuck. I'm not close to Chuck, but I know Chuck. And Book and I talk all the time. He's like, little bro. He's family, and this scheme or whatever was nothing more than a guy having investors who were trying to do things the wrong way. And you could see and you could hear in the recordings him pushing back, saying, why would we do that? Why you keep asking about these coaches? Why? He kept asking them why? And they kept pushing. We want coaches. I want coaches. I want coaches. And he was like, all right, you want coaches? He's thinking to himself, I'm just going to take this money and have fun with my guys in Vegas. And that's exactly what he did. You know what I'm saying? And this is based off conversations I've had with guys who were involved. So I think it's a lose-lose situation. If think about this, Huff. If I call you and I say, hey man, come to this meeting, this dude's gonna talk a bunch of gibberish, we're gonna ignore him, he gonna give me some money, we're gonna go spend it, man, because he's stupid. What you gonna say? Nah, Mark, I ain't trying to do that. I'm like, yo, come on, man, come on, let's go gamble. You're gonna do that. It's a leisure time. Vegas is a meeting place in July for coaches, kids, AAU programs, the whole 9 yards. Christian Dawkins, to me, came off like a young G in this situation because he didn't rat on anybody. He fought it all the way. His conversations, listen, they did do some things that was not in bounds with the NCAA's belief in amateurism. That's a fact. But he operated the way that the game has been played for decades.
So why were people calling him a con man?
Huh?
Why were people calling him a con man?
Because they're ignorant. And the con is basically saying, you're going to give me this money. I'm not going to do what you want me to do. I'm going to do what I want to do. So that's basically what a con man does. But if we really sit back and listen to what he was saying, he kept telling the FBI agent, why do you want coaches? I'm going to get the kid anyway. I don't need to pay a coach for no reason at all. That's like if Huff has a relationship with University of Kentucky, you don't have to pay Huff. he knows he's going to send his top kid to Kentucky. You know what I'm saying? Huff, no, he's already going there. What you paying me for? Or why are we paying that coach? He's going to go there. That's where he's going to go. You don't have to pay him. We got to connect. It's already set. Or I'm going to get that kid. So you're forcing it on him, I saw the entrapment all the way through. But unfortunately, the government didn't see it like that. You know? So, I mean, I just feel like he just got put in a bad spot. And the government, once again, is looked at negatively. The FBI, per se, is looked at negatively because you indicted all black coaches. You indicted 5 of the top black coaches we have in the United States. Guys who were on the waiting list for head coaching jobs. And that's where it looks really bad. You know, it looks bad. Because you know what? You could have found other coaches. Or, well, Christian Dawkins only was cool with these coaches. No, he was cool with all coaches. You know, he had Will Wade on the phone. He had Sean Miller on the phone. Nothing happened to those guys. You know, but those other coaches got charges. So it makes it look like there's a racist component attached to it, you know, and
I'm sure it was, yeah.
You know, I mean, that's Black history, though.
There was so much there for me watching this play out. And I mean, we've been talking about this since it happened, trying to find information since it happened. But the fact that when this came out, I did not know Christian Dawkins. I had never heard of Christian Dawkins. So when they painted him to be like this criminal mastermind, that's the problem that he was they painted him out to be what I hate to say this because I don't want to make it seem like I'm throwing somebody under the bus, but I feel like this is a system that we all know and understand exists. And I'm just going to be personally honest about it. And we live in a capitalist country. Like, money runs our country. Every decision that we make is run by finances. And somehow college basketball and college football, they want it to be exempt from that. And it doesn't make sense to me. I've long said publicly on this show that I feel like Adidas, Nike, Under Armour, whoever should be able to go up to a kid and offer them money for marketing their image or likeness or wearing their product or whatever. It's just how this country works.
Do you really want to go there?
Phase of to me,
do
yes.
you really want to go there?
Yes.
Because okay, I'm gonna put it on the table. Let's be realistic. There are only 2 sports in this country, in this world, that actually have a combine where players are tested and put on television and so forth, and that's football and basketball.
Yeah.
You know, and I feel like there's a racial component to that. I feel like those players are being sold before they're even signed. You know what I'm saying? And then also, when you talk about the other sports, what about baseball? Baseball, you can get drafted in high school, you can get a huge signing bonus, you can go to the minor leagues, and then you can still go back and play amateur sports. You can play football or basketball. You can as an amateur. Remember, what's the guy that Winky?
Chris Winky, Florida State.
Chris Winky. He was how old? 20-something years old when he was a freshman at Florida State.
Yep.
You know, and I know guys who personally went and played baseball, came back, played football, played basketball. So you're talking about other sports, you're allowed to do this, but the black athlete, when they're dominant in a certain sport, they're not allowed to do this. But they don't want us to look at the racial component behind it. Well, if you don't want us to look at the racial component behind it, then make it clear cut all across the board. You know, because sports is supposed to be colorless.
And I think the one color that makes everything even is green. And we know that that's what is actually running this. I mean, throughout the NCAA, there are leagues within leagues. We understand that low majors are not the same as mid majors. We understand mid majors are not the same as high major programs. And then there's a ranking or a pecking order even within high major programs. What is that pecking order, and what does that mean? I think we all know that that's financial. We know that there just aren't many schools that have the budget that UK or Texas or Alabama that those guys have, and that's why they're always good. I think we understand that those schools can pay the best coaches, the best trainers, have the biggest staffs, have bigger budgets, and we allow all of that. We allow Calipari and all those guys to fly private, and football coaches to land helicopters on the middle of high school fields to come recruit a kid, but then say, where would we get the money to pay the player? You just landed a private helicopter in the middle of his homecoming game, football game, to go recruit him, but you're saying that there's no money to give this kid $10,000. It doesn't make sense to me, and I think the people who are participating or participated in this documentary, Christian Dawkins, for sure, it was definitely evident based on what he was saying, is this system doesn't make sense. I'm only doing what makes sense, which is giving money to a particular player or a family so they can come to the school because they're obviously worth it.
So when he goes to Vegas and he's like, man, I'm not about to give nobody no money. I'm not doing that. I'm gonna put it in my bank account after we do what we do. At what point in your mind you're like, that's probably not a good idea?
I agree. So I agree that that's probably not a good idea.
I think just put it back and I hold on to it for later. But you know what I mean?
But he did that.
He kind of did. He spent a lot.
He had $90,000. He had $90,000 sitting at home at his house from all those trips that he had made, with those guys. Because he just kept keeping money.
If you know this is FBI money, you know that you don't want to give it to anybody because you know that's going to lead you down the wrong road.
But he didn't know. He didn't know.
He didn't what?
Yeah.
He didn't know
it was FBI money. He wasn't working with the feds.
Yeah. And I think they
got him.
That's what got this whole case. So I'm going to take it back because we're in almost an hour in, right? What I walked away from this saying was, to me, the FBI has a legitimate case. They just didn't bring it. And I don't know why.
You mean a legitimate case against?
Because they don't know how
University of against Arizona and LSU?
No. They have more than that. What they have,
we know they have
against LSU and Arizona, they have against everybody that we care about. Most of them, a lot of them, more of them than what was presented.
But let's be realistic.
Recordings never came out.
Okay, but let's be realistic.
And they put on trial Christian Dawkins and Merrill Code and all of these people who are to me, at the end of the day, this is surface level. These are to me, those guys are not criminal masterminds of college basketball. I don't see them.
I don't think any of these people were criminals or wrong or bad people. Yeah.
But I think the FBI has it. I don't think they brought the case, and I don't know why that is. Maybe
you know why. You know why. You know why. Because a U.S. senator from the state of Arizona, you know what I'm saying, is not going to sit by idly and let you prosecute his head basketball coach. You know what I'm saying? The Louisiana, the state senator, is not going to let you prosecute their head coach. It's not going to go down like that.
Now we're having a conversation.
And this is just my opinion, but a lot of those boosters, are some well-to-do people in the community, and they have reach in politics, and they're going to reach into the FBI and they're going to call favors in. We know this happens. You know what I'm saying? This isn't just speculation. We know these things happen. So when you attack guys like Christian Dawkins, Merle Coles, Lamont Evans, Book Richardson, and you freeze their bank accounts, and then they're cut off from getting a paycheck, now they can't fight you. They got to fight you with a court-appointed attorney and maybe some money they have laying around the house, or they have to borrow money. They can't afford to really fight you. They can't afford to dig up all the dirt. You know what I'm saying?
And I think that's key, Mark. And I just want to piggyback on what you're saying right there too. Because the FBI's game plan was to do all of that to these guys, right? I think they fully expected for those guys to flip, to give them
one flip.
who they were
One of them
really.
flipped. TJ flipped. The guy
Really?
TJ from that's right. The guy TJ flipped, and he I think he testified against Jim Gatto and Merle because he was an Adidas guy. So he flipped.
Got you.
And
Okay.
his family, and his family is mafia. He's descended from like mafia, like his uncle's family, they're mafia. And I mean, I used to see the guy at Adidas Nations events, and he always had this look on his face like he's so gangster, he's so tough. And he was the first person to flip.
He was the only
Everybody
person
else
to
held their own.
financial advisor, right?
Yeah. So I'm like,
everybody, all the
it's
coaches and all the other guys held solid as far as I know. So they didn't. To me, right? When Christian Dawkins says, immediately they say, you can save yourself. We won't charge you. You don't even have to go to jail. You won't get arrested. That tells me that they weren't really after you, dog. Like,
yeah,
they caught you
after him. They were after the big dog. They wanted the coaches. I mean,
they wanted the coaches, but once it really ran up the ladder, and they were like, ho, wait a minute. How many people you got on recording? Yeah. Like, people are always gonna say we want Rick Pitino. Hold on, let's be clear here. Rick Pitino is beloved in the state of Kentucky. He is beloved, aka Rick the Ruler. Okay, so you're not just gonna bring a charge against Rick the Ruler. Okay, what that? Yeah, you know what time it is. You from them parts. You know what time it is. DeJuan Wheat. What's your son's name? Let's talk about it.
Yes, sir. Greatest Louisville basketball player of all time, DeJuan Wheat. So that was my question. Of if you can immediately say, "Hey, give us Pitino, give us Andy Miller." To me, FBI, that means you already know that there is something there that you're chasing after. And I don't think it was money going to players or coaches, because Rick Pitino's not paying other coaches. So he's not bribing public officials, or he's not frauding anybody if he's giving money to players. You weren't chasing that. You were chasing something else. And I don't think we'll ever know what that is.
They were chasing young black men who could not afford to defend themselves in the court of law. That's what they got. All right. And if all those guys were able to have the resources that a university would have, or one of those multi-million-dollar college coaches, then their sentences would have been dropped or reduced, or it never would have went to trial. So once again, the racial component shows its head.
I hate to reduce this to and say what I'm about to say, but I believe that everybody listening is going to get the point. That is why the ringleader of this whole thing only got 18 months. Nobody got, that I know of, any real time. And I hate to say it because I wouldn't want to spend a day. I would hour in federal.
Yo, you're hearing what they said? They said, yo, El Chapo's upstairs.
Right.
Said, what?
That was crazy.
Right.
That is a line that I'll never forget, right? But I wouldn't want to spend an hour, so I don't want to demean anybody's time. But when I look at somebody like your man Book, he got 3 months. If they wouldn't have everything and they wouldn't have done what they did to that brother, I think he gets off.
That was the roughest 3 months that my brother Book has ever endured, and that 3 months, has scarred him. It's changed his life. And he can't get that back right now because, like I said, the racial component shows its ugly head, and that's the FBI. When has the FBI ever helped out any black people? I'm sorry, I don't want to make the show about that, but we call them the Alphabet Boys. They ain't never did nothing to us when when Hoover was in office, running the FBI. It was you're taking down civil rights, to kill the Black Panthers. All this stuff occurred. Like it's a witch hunt again, and I hate to see it. Our country is way more evolved than that, so I expect better. I expect better. It shouldn't just been some black coaches. I mean, they threw in Jim Gatto for some flavor, I guess. I don't know, but come on. From everything I've heard, and Jim Gatto is really good friends with my godfather. That's one of the best people out. Jim Gatto is one of the outstanding people in this grassroots, world of ours. So you threw a lot of really good people. You took a lot of really good people away from kids, parents, coaches. Like, you destroyed their lives for what? For them to serve less than a year in jail? Like, is it worth it? Like, come on, man.
Yeah.
And you destroyed their lives.
Yeah.
You destroyed their lives. They can't coach again on a college level because of those felonies.
Meanwhile, and again, there is a racial component to it, and I'm gonna get there as far as what I heard and was astounded by. But meanwhile, I don't understand how an assistant coach can get 3 months jail time, but the head coach who you have on tape is still coaching. I don't, and that's the part of this whole thing that I don't understand.
And you have him dead to rights, saying he's doing XYZ, so on and so forth. And, but
no, not even on, if you can't, it's not a bribery case, but not even, fraud, or not even like nothing, no wire fraud, no nothing. That money is getting to players somehow. Now, let me be clear. I don't think that's a crime. If Sean Miller is paying players, in my opinion, this is Mondre Allen, I only speak for Mondre Allen, good.
Yeah,
God bless him.
I didn't have an issue with the DeAndre Ayton thing. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
hey man, if Will Wade is paying players, God bless him.
This is America, people. We are in a
100%.
capitalist country. Okay,
100%.
there are kids who will not go to college because they have special skills. They're doing YouTube channels. They're great, with technology and so forth. They are making money now. This is a capitalist country. Why are we stopping young black men, young ball players, young players of every age, race, color, creed, from making money on their God-given talents? It doesn't make sense. And then we have a not-for-profit organization like the NCAA, who takes charter jets and they stay in the penthouse suite of every hotel they go in, they stay in. They're living lavishly,
making billions of dollars.
Not for profit.
So one thing that got stated to me that stuck out, and we've shifting this a little bit, but not, and we talk about this on this show all the time. Christian Dawkins on tape with an FBI agent says, and I quote, "These coaches can't take any chances, especially a black assistant coach." He said they know, if regardless of what happens, they know that if one little thing happens to them, they will never coach again. This was something that even a guy in his early 20s who's been around basketball knew and understood, that he said that to an FBI agent, and the FBI agent did absolutely nothing with that information. He didn't even say on the phone call why. Why is that?
He kept pushing the envelope. So what I'm saying to you is that I feel like, and everybody can say it's a conspiracy, it's not a conspiracy. No, it's not a conspiracy. It's an agenda. He had an agenda of saying, I don't care. I want them. Give them the money.
But that reality struck home for me. If Christian Dawkins knows that, and at that time he was trying to educate an FBI agent on how this whole thing really works. That's the conversation that they were having. If that is something that is known, that, hey, if you're a black assistant coach, you can't make a mistake or else you'll never, he said, you will never work in basketball again. Like, or you'll never coach again.
And
That
they
is
did not
something-
care. They did not care. They said, I don't want to pay the coaches. We don't need to pay the coaches.
Yeah.
I'm going to get the kid anyway. And they kept pushing that agenda. I want to pay him. I want to put money in their hands.
That's a sad reality.
So
they pushed that agenda a lot. Like, that's what I saw. Yeah.
That's not a conspiracy. That's an agenda, because they kept saying it over and over in the tape conversation that we heard on the scheme.
That's a sad state of affairs in college basketball.
In the world, in the United States. Forget college basketball. That's just us as a country.
I don't want to compare and contrast this again, not to throw anybody's stuff underneath the bus, not to throw I'm not necessarily throwing Mark Izzo under the bus. If something were to happen with one of my kids, like, would I be making phone calls trying to figure out what the heck happened? Maybe, right? Like, I may not pause to know the rules. So I'm not trying to throw anybody under the bus, but watching documentaries, because we all been stuck in the house, Mike Rice was accused of far worse. We talk about the ex-coach from Rutgers that was accused of abuse, throwing basketballs at players. Like, Mark is laughing. Mark old school, he laughing. But he was accused of what I think would be far worse than giving a player some money. And he is being given a second chance. He's back coaching again. I'll just say that. It did not end his coaching career.
I mean, he's coaching AAU.
Right.
I don't think he'll ever get back. I don't know can they put him out? I don't know.
It seems like he's on it. To me, looking at it, or watching that doc, kind of seemed like Mike Rice was on the road to some sort of redemptive state. And I'm not saying that I don't want that. I'm just saying that is a stark, like, turn, right, from saying, hey, if you're a black and something happens, you're never going to work in this business.
It's over.
It's over.
I've met Mike. I worked the camp with Mike, and he is just a firecracker type of coach that I grew up under. He's no different than Calipari. Same language. He's no different than Coach K. Same language. Without throwing the basketballs and without really pushing guys and so forth. That was caught on camera. But that stuff has been going on in college basketball forever. It's been going on forever. So, we singled out Mike Rice for his behavior, which everybody's like, oh my God, I can't believe he's doing that. But that's been going on forever. So now all of a sudden, the country is morally perfect. Like, morally, everybody's perfect because everything's on camera. And I don't know if it's fair. I don't know if it's fair to Mike Rice as a coach. The stuff he did. Yeah, I'm gonna keep it real with you. I've thrown basketballs at kids over the past 26 years. You're gonna get a basketball thrown at you. You're gonna get a ball thrown at you. Everybody who has been in the Monster Lab and you've been a D1 kid, you've gotten cussed out or a basketball thrown at you. Hey, bro.
You posted a picture of Trent. He got a basketball thrown at him too.
Nah, Trent was a model student, man. Trent was a model student. Trent started out there as the worst person to ever walk in my gym and left there as one of the best people. You know what I'm saying? So, and I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say this one thing. So I'm gonna give you a quick story. So, this might be about 12 years ago. I'm in the gym and I'm going off on players. We're pushing them. We got like 30, 40 kids in the gym. And I'm going off on certain guys. I had a white parent pull me to the side, and he said to me, I quote, "Hey Mark, can you curse my son out the way you curse out the black kids?" my eyes got big. I was like, yes, sir. You sure about that? I'm like, okay. I wasn't trying not to because he's what I call a shorty. He was in middle school. When they're shorties, I don't want to scare them too much because once they get to high school, you're playing for different stakes. I said, yeah, I'll get him. You know, I'll get him though. Sure, but parents want you to push their kid to a certain level. You don't want to verbally abuse them by calling them out their name too much. You gonna call them. Hey, I might call your son a little bitch every now and then. Dre, I might call your son a little bitch. Hey, man, you act like a little bitch right now. You need to run faster. Like because I say to them, give me everything you got. If you don't feel good, if your knee is hurting, if your back is hurting, please sit down. It is not a strike against you. Live to fight another day. I do not hold it against any kid. I've had a kid right now who's a rapper under young thugs. His name is Astro. He's a rapper out there in Clayton County. And his father and I grew up together. One day, he's a kid that always goes hard. He was short of breath and he just wasn't going hard. His dad was cussing him out from the sidelines, which I don't allow. I walked over to his dad and said, chill. Something's not right. Your son always goes hard. I pulled him off the court. I started looking at him. He was looking bad. I said, take him to the emergency room right now. He said, nah, he'd be all right. And I cussed my boy out. Take your son to the emergency room right now. He took him to the emergency room. He called me 2 hours later and he said, you saved my son's life. He has a major heart defect. One of his valves is not connected correctly. They said he would have died within the next hour. And I said, that was God, but that was me caring. So let me be clear. A guy like Mike Rice, Bob Knight, all these coaches that are pushing these kids to a different level, Coach K, Roy Williams, Calipari, they're pushing them to a different level, but they're white. You know what I'm saying? They get to make those mistakes. They get to get caught doing that, and they get second and third and fourth chances. You know what I'm saying? The black coaches that got caught up in this, they destroyed their lives. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we can't really compare what a black coach does and a white coach does in America. And that's unfortunate because, like I said, we are way more evolved than that as a people. Because right now, guess what? This coronavirus, it's colorblind.
Thanks.
And the world is at a standstill right now. So if we can't see more than ever how much we're so much alike, we'll never figure it out. You know what? The world needed this time. Take away the deaths, take away the fact that some of these kids aren't going to get a chance to compete for the scholarships they want, and school had to get cut short for a lot of kids. Let's take away the fact that hopefully everybody's safe and things have slowed down. You know what I'm saying? And we're getting a chance to really reflect on what's important in life. And I hope the racial component really gets taken away and pushed back a lot more. Because we've got to understand that we're all just human beings, and a black man and a white man, they both have families to support. So when you destroy them and never give them a chance to take care of their families again, they're never the same.
Yeah.
And now you're pushing them possibly to do something that they might not normally do to feed their families.
Mark, what you're saying is important, and before we shift topics, I want to make sure that we drive that home. You're talking about people who basketball has been all they've ever done, right? Some of these guys are probably basketball lifers, like what we're talking about. Went straight from high school to college and played college to whatever, pro career they may or may not have had, and then back to college to start coaching at a very young age. Like Christian Dawkins said, I've never made a dime outside of basketball in my entire life. And now we have just taken people out of basketball for the first time in their entire life and expecting them to still be able to support their family. Basketball at the highest level. And then saying, hey, go figure it out, which is crazy. Over what amounts to, if the documentary is true, what amounts to, I walked in a room, I never touched a dime, I walked in the room, I had a conversation, I walked out, and then went to a gentleman's club in Vegas and had fun with my friends. That got coaches jail time. That got coaches banished from the NCAA. Like, that's on the grand scheme of things, right? Like, no pun intended. That's crazy. That's crazy.
You destroyed somebody's life. Like, can you imagine, Huff? If somebody told you you could not be a high school coach anymore, and we're not going to let you teach anymore tomorrow.
Well, now you got to figure out what's your purpose? What are you going to do?
Oh, my bad. Hold on. My bad. You and Bryce, y'all Morehouse dudes. So y'all a little bit smarter than everybody else. So y'all got it. You know what I'm saying?
I'll be on Indeed tomorrow looking up stuff.
Yeah, crazy. It's crazy. So guys, as we kind of shift the focus, Max Preps put out a list of the most dominant boys high school basketball programs of the last 10 years in Georgia.
Can you name them? Because I want to just
I'll name them. I'll name them, and then I'll name them. I'll name them. I'll start at number 10, and then we'll work our way up. Actually, I want to start at the next 4. Right, these are guys that did not make the top 10.
Okay.
Right? So next 4 outside of the top 10 are Milton, Shiloh, Beaufort, Wilkinson County. Those are the guys that did not make the top 10. So Milton, Shiloh, Beaufort, Wilkinson County did not make the top 10.
So I made Dr. Aaron Jeter did a hell of a job at Wilkinson County.
They're single,
right? But I don't even know if they're only judging by how many Division I prospects come out of program. Then that's why they're not in. That's why they're the first 4 out.
I don't know the criteria,
but that's what I'm saying. I don't know.
Yeah,
but if you're talking about the last 10 years, I'm pretty sure there's at least 5 or 6 championships in there.
Judging by looking at this list, right? Here's judging by the information that they have on this list, it looks like they're judging it based off of state championships, state runner-ups, state top 25s, and being nationally ranked. That's what is the information that's listed. Could they have considered?
Well, they were never going to be nationally ranked, but they've got state championships. The other ones, as good as Milton has been here, since Coach Whitehart took over or when Coach Boyd had him, there also were some down years, in between those two or before Coach Boyd. So I can see that. Coach Rivers does a hell of a job at Shiloh. But he's had, as with every school, a lot of times there are going to be some years you're just not as good. So that when you talk about the ones that did make it, that says a lot to those guys who are up there. And Beaufort as well, So it'll be interesting to see what the rest are since those 4 are out.
The rest goes. There are 2 schools tied at 10, and that is Tift County and Pebblebrook. Are tied at 10th. Number 9.
Who has more championships?
Pebblebrook doesn't have a championship.
Pebblebrook don't have a chip.
Yeah.
And that's that's not saying I don't. Colin Sexton, all those guys that played at Pebblebrook, but if you're gonna have a list that talks about, I guess, criteria is based on state championships, then Milton and Beaufort and Wilkinson County are below them. That don't make sense.
So
I'm gonna just be honest.
Here's what it said, right? Pebblebrook has 2 state runner-ups and basically have been in the state top 25 since 2014. Versus Tift County having 2 state championships, no state runner-ups, and being in the top 25 in the state 1, 2, 3, 4 years. I'm not telling you that's what means that Pebblebrook is better. I'm just telling you what's listed on this website. I'm only saying that.
Mark's quiet over there, like
Mr. Cobb County. Mr. Cobb County.
Hey,
man. Excuse me, Mark. This is why you're here.
I ain't got no chip, Mark. Washington ain't got no chip yet. He getting it next year, though.
Hey, listen, man. I'm tired of being right about Cobb County, man, because
Cobb County.
we smacked everybody in football, Marietta, and then down the street, Wheeler come down and take that chip, and it's just like y'all still don't believe, we're gonna run it back too. We're gonna run it back. We're gonna keep running it back.
It's gonna be tough next year too.
So
what happened to Cobb County in 6A?
We ain't talking about 6A. We're talking about the big dog. We're talking about the big dog.
And I said Cobb County.
Big dog.
Hey, lock hell, boy. Hey,
South Cobb, man. South Cobb, man. Hey, that's your boy, man. Man.
wow.
You tell most people I'm upset with him. Okay? I am upset with him. I had the rings already picked out for them and everything, man. I'm upset with him. Okay? We need to have a conversation.
I'm pretty sure the message is gonna get delivered.
I hope so.
Are the Cobb County schools in the same region next year though? Like
Carol Wheeler and South Cobb gonna be. I know that.
Wheeler's going down for 2 years to 6A. Carol's moving up. Yeah,
that's a region right there. That's 6 games. That's 6 must-see games.
And
right
Westlake's
going down
6A as well.
Buford's coming up to 6A.
Westlake?
What?
Buford's coming up to 6A.
Holy shit, bro!
Shiloh's going down to 6. Shiloh's going down to 6A too.
How are these teams going up and down? I mean, what is it based off? The enrollment?
It's based off enrollment. It's based off enrollment.
Enrollment.
Let's run back the full list. We're saying Shiloh, Westlake, Buford,
Wheeler,
South Cobb,
Carrollton.
Heritage Conyers is staying 6A, right?
Keep talking. We'll find out.
Good. I don't know if they want that smoke.
Night.
Hey, you still got Chattahoochee and
Chattahoochee's still in there.
Chattahoochee don't want that smoke.
That's crazy.
AJ don't want that smoke.
Andrew McConnell.
Lanier's still in there. I know that. You still got Valdosta. You still got Warner Robins and Valdosta in 6A.
Oh,
hey,
they too far south, man. We ain't scared of them.
We give everybody love on here, Mark. This is not just the Atlanta show.
But look,
Heritage Conyers is in there. Heritage Conyers is in there.
So
you forgot about Langston Hughes.
Langston Hughes is 6A?
Yeah, Tucker 6A.
I thought Langston Hughes was 5A.
No, Tucker and Langston Hughes are 6A.
Jesus Christ.
Statesboro 6A.
So we were
Douglas
saying
County. Hold on, bro. Douglas County, Alexander, Carrollton.
We were
Shiloh, Lanier.
What's
pretty much all this year that 6A
Sequoia.
The only team on that list that I'm even afraid of is Shiloh. Shiloh play hard.
Yes, they
do.
I mean, they play. I was afraid of that game. They just couldn't shoot that good, but then they started hitting shots at the end when we played them. Wheeler, state champs. What up, Shep? What up, Larry?
Hey, Shep already put on here. He was waiting on this.
Hey, so I got a question. I got a question for Mark though. What would it say about the legacy of Larry Thompson to win 7A this past season and then come back and win a loaded 6A the next season?
Hold on, Dre.
What would that say?
Hold on, Dre. Like, why we gotta say, what does it say about his legacy if he does that? The man got 3 state championships.
No, I'm saying,
come on, man. Let's call a spade now. He won when people didn't think he was gonna win. Let's be honest.
100%.
He won when people thought he wasn't gonna win. Following a legend that people don't realize how hard it is to follow a legend.
100%.
Yeah.
Let's give that man some respect. I don't care if he don't win next year. I want you to win, Larry. I'm not saying I don't.
No,
I don't care if he don't win.
So
let's
not get that question twisted.
We going for 4 at Wheeler. We're going for 4.
All I'm saying is, if you beat a team that we didn't necessarily think that you would beat.
Y'all didn't think y'all
100%. Hey, 100%. Hey, look. I've been public about saying that I thought that before this all happened, before a state tournament, that I thought that this was Larry's best coaching job and one of the best basketball teams that I saw. I still didn't think they were winning state, right? But they did it, right? So definitely respect to Larry for that. To me, to win 7A this year and then to come back and win a loaded 6A next year, we got to have some different conversations about Larry. Forget show that man his respect for winning the state championship. We got to have some different conversations about Larry if they pull that off.
I mean, to beat that Grayson team, the number 2 team.
Wait. So, Locke, here's what I'm saying, though. Are we putting Larry and I hate to pit, I'm not pitting coaches against each other. I'm just comparing greatness, right? Are we putting Larry in that conversation with Sharman White now? I think I would if they win it again next year. I think you have to. The level of difficulty to me is
I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say this. Having been around Larry for the past few years, I've come to learn his basketball philosophy, and he's brilliant. And then to be able to team him with Coach Shep, who's a brilliant offensive guy. He's like, people really don't understand that he's brilliant. You're talking about 2 guys who are brilliant at coaching. To see them bounce ideas off of each other back and forth, and then I'm not going to understate the rest of the guys on the bench. You know what I'm saying? Coach Q, great at what he does with the kids. Then you had Coach Cam from Albany, who's an ex-college coach. You know what I'm saying? Who had legendary status in Albany. So, so you had an amazing coaching staff there, you know, and you know what? Those kids finally bought in to what they were trying to do, and it worked. And that is something that I saw that I didn't think I would see in January. In January, there were games I came to, I sat behind the bench and I'd be like, y'all barely gonna win this game. And they'd barely win it because the guys weren't as focused. But Larry had so much patience, you know what I'm saying, with that team. And he chipped away at those guys, doing things the right way, doing this, doing that. And they bought in. They were selfless and they bought in, which is hard to get a high school team to do, especially when you have guys who are uncommitted. They're trying to get scholarships, to become selfless and to say, you know what? If I do it this way, we're going to win. I'm going to get noticed, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, and that's what they did, because to run through Gwinnett's finest like they did.
Yes.
You know, with the exception of Norcross, you know, they ran through Gwinnett's finest. That was the hardest. To me, if somebody could, and Huff, you've been around, you probably got a bigger mind on this than I do. Who's had a harder path to a state championship in Georgia high school than Wheeler? Can you remember?
Tiff County.
Tiff is probably the only one recently that comes up. Because I remember Dr. Eric Holland having a board in his office, a picture of Georgia, and he had mapped out the teams he would possibly have to beat, and it went through that same gauntlet of teams who he had to beat. That's probably the only one recently.
Yeah, that year when they beat McEachern and then beat Wheeler in the state championship game.
Yep,
that was like, whoa, that was big. That was big. But this Wheeler team, Shiloh was nationally ranked at one point in the year.
They only had 2 losses. Only had 2 or 3 losses to Grayson.
Three losses. And Grayson was number 2 in the country.
Yep.
Berkmar beat Norcross, who was teetering on being a top nationally ranked team.
Milton.
You know what I'm saying? And Milton with they have a 5-star point guard. They have a point guard who's a top 15, top 10 player. He's definitely a top 50 player in the country, regardless of class, running the show. To beat those teams and to deal with an architect, a coaching architect type guy like Coach Whiteheart at Milton, that was an amazing run. And Larry and Shep, that's Batman and Superman.
Hey,
like, for real.
So I got a question, Mark, because I had a theory on the last show we did with SUV TV, and shout out to SUV TV, still the platform.
Marcus, First Lady, hope y'all staying safe.
For sure. I feel like just watching those guys from afar, that they never felt like that they were gonna lose. That they walked into the state tournament saying, "Yo, like this is happening. Like we're about to do this." Is that true?
I'm gonna keep it all the way 1,000.
Because I feel like they were talking that talk.
If
like
Larry,
we're winning.
Shep, if y'all listening, I'm sorry, I gotta throw y'all under the bus.
Uh-oh.
So check this out. We knew for a fact that they were gonna win the state championship based on how things were running within the team. Like the disappointment was they didn't win by 20. They literally thought they were going to 20-piece them. Like before, it's 1,000%. Before the game, I had a talk with Nash Kelly, starting point guard, and him and Roscoe, my man Dez, his son, that's playing at
Denver.
At Denver.
At Denver.
They have a running. They're like brothers. They have a running competition. Nash is always telling him, "I'm better than you. I'm better than you." So before the game, I'm like, Nash, so after you win the state championship tonight, who's the first person you gonna call? He said, "I'm calling Sco, and I'm gonna tell him I'm better than you, son. I'm better than you." So the confidence that the team had was paramount. And I'm not gonna say this. I'm not gonna say that they didn't respect Grayson, because
of course
that three-headed monster they had at Grayson, plus like one of my favorite players in Ian Shefflin, well, five-headed really. They had a complete squad, and I just feel like the coaching, like like Larry said, coaching matters. It was not a strike at Coach Pierce. Coach Pierce is a great guy, and I told him straight up that I would if Wheeler don't win the championship, that I would love for them to represent the state of Georgia in Geico, because I feel like they'll have a great chance of representing the state of Georgia. You know what I'm saying? Sure. I'm with Wheeler. I'm a Cobb County. You know what I'm saying? So he knew where the lines were drawn, but the respect factor was there. You had some incredible players on that team, but I think the coaching job those guys put down made them feel confident that they could win, and it wasn't disrespect. It was respect. Matter of fact, it was so much respect that they crossed every T and dotted every I. And I can respect both coaches even more because they allowed me to have a small voice or a small opinion or to point out small details. And every time I did, they would come back and say, "Oh, we talked about that. Oh, we talked about that. Oh, we talked about that." And I'm like, wow. So you can't go into a championship game thinking you're going to lose. You have to be confident. You have to say, "We're going to blow this team out." If you don't say that, you're going to lose. If you're going to say, "Man, I don't know. They kind of big," or "I don't know. They good. They number 2 in the country." If you go into a game saying that, you're not a competitor. You're not worth it. So I'm not so please. I don't want anybody Grayson thinking that Larry and Shep had any disrespectful thoughts in their mind about that program, because they watched a lot of film, and the most important thing was making sure the Wheeler kids were fine-tuned and understood what their individual jobs were. You know what I'm saying? Because remember, and Huff, you know this. If you have 5 players on a team, you know what I'm saying? Point from point guard to center. You know what I'm saying? If it's just the point guard that's killing, that's just gonna poke you.
Yeah.
If you got the point guard and the shooting guard doing good, that's all right. You know what I'm saying? If you got 3 guys doing good, but if you got 5 guys playing for the team, you know what I'm saying? Playing for the team, you really can deliver some powerful blows.
Yep.
And that's what I saw happen at that game. Because I was at the game talking mad junk. And it was probably 85 to 90% of the people in there was going for Grayson. And they was on my head. I would turn around and I'd be like, what? Let's go. Let's get it. They was playing jump around. I started jumping around my old self. I had a great time. I'm a fan of the game. So I refuse to allow anybody to not let me have fun watching these children, these kids play a game. Win, lose, or draw, it was an incredible game. I had a great time. And of course, Cobb County #1.
100%. If
Cobb County.
So if we go back to our list,
True.
Oh wow, hold on.
Here we go.
Sly starts up. Let me read this for the people who are listening on SoundCloud.
Man,
just because you win 7A in Georgia, that don't mean you should be able to play in Geico. That comes from Sylvester Williams.
Finish the list, and we may come back to that.
Okay, I'm gonna finish the list. Let me get so.
Keep that thought, Mark. Keep that thought.
Is it?
I got it.
No disrespect to Roy Griffin, who's done a great job carrying on the legacy at Green Forest, but Green Forest comes in at #9. Is it fair to call Green Forest, that program, the house that Larry built?
It is the house that Larry built. You also got to give respect to David Jones. He won the first one at Green Forest.
Respect. Shout out to Coach Griffin too. As we said earlier, as tough as it was for Larry to walk into Wheeler,
Roy following Larry was,
man. Not just that. Larry came with smoke on his back. Larry had the deal. Larry was there dealing with them St. Francis teams.
Yeah.
Think about it. Them St. Francis teams had 3 pros.
Yeah.
Single A was very good when Larry came through and got it.
When Larry was in Single A, man, it was probably
one Single A.
It was probably right below 7A.
Yeah. I remember a little dude, and I can't remember his name. But he smoked Wheeler from Whitfield Academy. What is that dude's name? We was calling him like
Isaiah Hart
years ago.
Isaiah Hart.
Yeah.
Isaiah Hart. I think he went to Loyola, Chicago, maybe. Yeah.
He smoked everybody. Don't get it twisted. He smoked everybody.
Yes, he did. I just remember everybody.
I remember I was trying to tell coaches about him, and they were like, "Oh, he's too small." Okay.
Hey, bro.
Everybody a 30-piece and a biscuit.
and I don't want to detract from the conversation too much, but like they were doubling him on the out of bounds to make sure that he couldn't get the ball, and he was still like that was crazy. But Green Forest at #9. Columbia is at #8. Morgan County is at 7.
Yes, I like that.
Greater Atlanta Christian is at 6. McEachern is at 5. St. Francis at 4. Norcross at 3. Wheeler at #2. Miller Grove at #1. And this is a list Max Prep says stands for the most dominant boys high school basketball programs of the last 10 years in Georgia.
When you talk about that top 4, I definitely don't have a problem with the top 4.
They can flip flop.
Yeah, you could.
That top 4 can flip flop.
Yeah, I mean,
like you know, yeah, because you got to give it to Miller Grove because of all those championships. You can't take nothing away from that at all, you know. But you know, Wheeler, Norcross, yeah.
Can you make a case for McEachern to be in that top 4 mix over one of the teams that's currently in the top 4?
No,
not yet.
Because they haven't had the
over the past 4 years.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. They haven't had the longevity of those 4 that's above them.
Over the past 5 years, we got this 5. They have a 5-year stretch. No, 4-year stretch. 4-year stretch. I'm sorry, 4-year stretch. Because that first year they were 29-1. They lost to Tift County in the Final Four.
Yeah.
Okay.
What you got? I mean,
don't hold it.
Don't hold it. Come on now.
I'm only gonna say, okay, so how long are we going to continue to give
I already know where you're going, Locke.
Miller Grove this top spot post Sharman White? Is
that's still 7 championships though.
Let me
that's still 7 championships. Anna was it a runner-up too? So that's 8 of those 10 years.
All with the same guy.
But it's gonna fade within the next 3 years or so if they don't win again. The same way Westover faded. Because you remember Westover won 4 in a row. They won 4 in a row. Took 2 years off. They came back and won it again. So they had arguably the most dominant 10-year stretch of any high school team in Georgia ever.
Yep.
Yeah.
Boy, Sly is on it, man. This man
Hey, let's get into what Sly talking about, man. Let me see.
He said this list is seriously flawed. The scoring system is wrong, but Keecher can't be 5. They only played in and won 1 state championship. They just got a boost because of their second place national finish.
But they were ranked in they were ranked in the top 25 in the country for 4 years straight. So that gives them a boost.
It's going to.
When you're the national ranking is something they take into account.
And I'm gonna say this, and this may ruffle some people the wrong way, but I'm gonna be honest with you, bro. Like, I'm not a ring counter in high school. Like, I'm not a state championship counter in high school. I'm not saying that it means nothing. I'm only saying that to me, it's not everything. Right? I am also going to look at Bryce ain't coming back. I am also going to look at I'm also going to look at how many guys you got to the next level, how many pros you produce, how long your program has been strong.
Then that list better start changing.
If it were me, I can't speak for Max Preps. If it were me, right, I'm looking at all those things. I would also look at scheduling, right? When we know what the big events are around the city. When there's smoke, are you around? I would also consider that if I were to make a top 10 list. I would also, unfortunately for me, I would look at the same way I would Indiana University lost a great coach, Bobby Knight, helped build that program. They have not been the same since Coach Knight left. They had some success under Mike Davis, and for whatever reason, they decided that situation wasn't working out. Sometimes when you have a program that the majority of their success comes from a single coach, and I would say no. So that's the thing. And I love this, Sly. No, they're not. We talked about this on the show. Everybody's road to a state championship ain't Larry Thompson's road to a state championship, bro. They not all created equal.
But it's hard to
you can't just count. Though. It is. I'm not discounting it. I'm not saying you can't reverse it and say that it means nothing. I'm not saying that it's worthless. I'm not saying that. It is hard. It is definitely on the page, right, of information that I'm looking at. But I'm not gonna look at how many state championships you have and say that counts more than how many college players your program put out, how many pros you have, what type of schedule you played. Like, I'm not gonna say that means more than that either. Like, when the Big South Shootout happens, when Hoops Given happens, when Tournament of Champions happens, when all of these big events happening, where are you? Who are you playing? That matters to me.
You're taking shots at Miller Grove.
I promise I'm not.
You're taking shots at Miller Grove.
I feel like you're taking shots at Epsom Lee too.
I am not
shots at Miller Grove.
I'm not taking shots at anybody.
Wilkinson County. He tried to take a Wilkinson County.
I am.
You taking shots at who else? Who else he taking shots at? Who else? He got his silencer out. And he got his shots. And he's trying to act like he
been waiting for this moment, Mark.
Yes, you can see it.
Yeah.
I don't have. Look, hey, bro. Hey, my son is a student at Marietta High School. I clearly do not have a dog.
Grove ain't produced no pros. Is that what you're saying?
Woo.
Yep. They don't have no college coaches.
You said pros. Of all those schools you named, that's the only school that ain't produced no pros.
I didn't say that. I don't know how many pros. I don't know how many pros
St.
Columbia
Francis should be up. Then St. Francis should be up there a little bit higher because of that run they had and those guys that have played they're playing professionally and close to the NBA level. And Wheeler should be number one because they've played the toughest schedule over the past 10 years I've ever seen. Remember, at one point, Wheeler rarely played in the state until it was region time.
Yep.
I am only saying that to me that matters. I'm not going to throw the baby out with the bathwater and say that state championships don't matter, but I'm also not going to say that creating pros or creating Division I players that don't matter either. Right? I would also be one to look at what programs are putting out players that are successful at the next level. And to me, that is something that matters when we talk about program dominance.
So you taking shots at Miller Grove?
I'm not. I'm not.
Bryce,
I'm about to stop talking because I'm not.
See,
Sylvester told you to cut your mic off.
Hold on, because see, Bryce just shakes his head and laughs, but he's smart.
Yeah,
that Dre is taking shots.
I'm gonna leave this one alone because last time I went down this road, people looking at me like I was crazy. So,
and this is the question that Sylvester doesn't get, and Sly, brother, yes, most dominant program, it has something to do with your overall performance, because if you don't schedule well and then you so happen to get a favorable bracket. This is not Kentucky, right? If this were Kentucky and all classifications had to play against each other and you had a true champion instead of just being the champion of your classification, then I would feel different about how I weigh a state championship in Georgia. That's not the case. You don't have a true overall champion.
Use the silencer. Use the silencer.
Yeah.
You don't have a true champion. Right, so I don't feel the same way about a Georgia state championship that I would if you were the state champion coming out of Jefferson County in Louisville. That's not the so yes, I take in your overall program of who you play, how your players produce, and what they go on to do. They're all data points.
So who's your top five? Who's your top five then based on that?
And are you trying to say that somebody in that list was ducking people with competition?
I am not saying that at all. So let me address Miller Grove directly, right? I'll address Miller Grove, I'll address Columbia, I'll address those guys directly.
You get close and here it is.
I'm gonna add Tucker. I'm gonna add Tucker High School in that. Like there are a lot of places that I'm gonna add in that, right?
Oh boy.
Here's what I'm gonna say. I'm gonna say those schools were and are coached by absolute coaching legends. Greatness, right? But at some point, you're gonna have to replace a legend. And it said a lot to me about how dominant Willer's program really is, because they were able to replace a legend and go win a state championship and play in the toughest, one of the toughest schedules in the state year over year over year. They didn't turn down the Heat because they gave somebody a new job. The Heat was still there.
That's
like they had a McDonald's All-American after they lost a legendary coach. That's not easy to do. And I don't know for sure that Miller Grove could do that. Could Tucker do that without Coach Hartree? Could Columbia do that without their legendary coach? Like, that's hard. And that's a data point for me. So I'm not saying that those guys are out or should not be in it. I'm saying that I factor it a little bit different. And that's why I wouldn't put Miller Grove ahead of Willer, because that is hard to do. Replacing a legendary coach ain't easy.
So the comparison is the direct correlation of what you're saying with college basketball, because at Louisville you can replace a legendary coach and still win a championship. You could do that at Kentucky. You could do that at North Carolina. You can do that at certain places. So now you're saying at Wheeler they were able to replace a legendary coach and win a championship.
Go win a championship.
Tucker hasn't done that. Miller Grove hasn't done that. Columbia hasn't done that. How many programs have actually? St. Francis has done that. St. Francis has done that.
Yeah. St. Francis has done it. I don't know what else Sly wants from me.
Norcross has done it.
I just told you exactly what I think.
That's a great. You know, that's a great standing. It's different.
It's what it is.
Basically, what you're doing is you're naming our blue bloods.
And Miller Grove. So Miller Grove has a runner-up post Sharman White. Shout out. I did not know that, but my point still stands.
You gotta win.
That's how I see it.
So you gotta win it. You gotta win it.
If Miller Grove can win it, then they belong in the conversation as being a blue blood.
And I would put Norcross and Willer above Miller Grove. I would still give Miller Grove their respect. I would still give Columbia their respect and say that they belong in the top 10, because we're saying the last 10 years and what they've done. What I will say is that I feel like Willer and Norcross I give a little more respect to, because their run is way longer than those 10 years. But if we're going to talk about 10 years, then it is what it is. Right. Those are, when I say the most dominant programs, I'm talking about programs that are going to last like regardless. The blue bloods.
Yeah.
Norcross ain't going nowhere regardless. Willer's not going anywhere regardless.
So who are the blue bloods? You're saying Wheeler, you saying Norcross. Who are the blue bloods? Let's go, Mondre. Come on.
So look.
Don't Gregory Hines us either.
Ain't no Gregory. Look, I'm just gonna tell you what I think. I'm not gonna say I'm always right. I'm not gonna say I'm always right, but I'm gonna tell you what I think and how I measure it. Again, all of those are data points to me, not just one or the other. But if I had to name the blue blood programs based on what I know, right? And I've only been in the state for 20 years and only been active in basketball for about 10 to 15 of those years. I'm looking at Willer. I'm looking at Norcross. I'm looking at St. Francis. I'm looking at Pebblebrook. I'm looking at, to me, I would classify Miller Grove as a blue blood, like Columbia as a blue blood. Their coaches, their legendary coaches got them to that level, but you're going to have to sustain it. You're going to have to show me that you can do it. Miller Grove, I'm just being honest. You're going to have to show me that you can do it.
Pebblebrook shouldn't be in that list yet because they ain't won a championship yet, bro.
I don't know if Pebblebrook's blue blood.
I'm putting Pebblebrook on that list as a blue blood program to me, unless George is like leaving Pebblebrook. And then I'll say, okay, show me that you can sustain it.
Don't get George started tonight. Right. Don't get George started tonight, man.
See, because to me, I'm gonna say Tiff is a blue blood.
I agree. Tifton, Coach Baldwin is correct. Westlake, I would put Westlake as a blue blood program. I'm talking and
Sandy
Coach Baldwin. I can't.
No. Sandy Creek is not a blue blood.
I can't put Jonesboro there yet, Coach. And maybe that's just me. Maybe I just don't have the knowledge of their program.
They've been down a few years.
I would say Westover, I'm looking at you. What are you gonna do? Right? Like, to me, I don't look at a program and say they're not a blue blood because they had a bad 3 or 4 year run. Right? But I will say that if you start not showing up, and I'm not talking about the events like City of Palms that you got to get an invite to. I'm talking about the events that you can get in here. Like, you can still come.
Coach Baldwin, I said Tiff was a blue blood. So East Hall 5 years ago, yes. 5 years ago, they would have been blue blood.
And their coaches at Collins Hill now, right?
Morgan County?
No.
Yes.
Who?
No.
Morgan County. Yes.
Blue blood?
They just lost a coach too, didn't they?
No.
Didn't they just lose a coach? Wasn't this year their first year under a new coach?
No, he's been there.
He's been there? I thought they
Green
lost.
Forest?
Y'all look Buford's a blue blood. I don't know whether y'all want to agree or not. Buford is a blue blood.
That's a blue blood school.
Yes.
Explain that to
That's
me,
a
Huff.
blue blood school.
Eddie Martin has won. What are you talking about? Like, he's won
Martin
every.
won the
No,
girls. The
so-
girls team
so-
is dominant, and they're dominant in football. They're dominant in everything, bro.
Hey, Huff, I'm only asking about Buford before Eddie Martin.
But sometimes,
And I'm
blue blood-
asking questions that I don't know the answer to. I'm legit asking.
But don't sometimes schools that we're talking about become blue bloods because of the coach who's coaching?
yes.
Okay,
A
then
coach
it's a
could
blue
definitely-
blood.
A coach can definitely take you
And
to
he-
that level.
And he's won there. And he's won there.
I don't know. They definitely got blue blood money. I can say that.
They got
Their
different
school
ones.
looks like a coliseum. That is something like I've
Yeah.
never seen.
South
I've never
Atlanta
seen
High
anything
School.
like it.
That's good.
South Atlanta.
Mm.
Yeah.
That's a good one right there.
But that's my criteria, man. That's how I look at it. To me, if you have a legend as a coach, you're gonna have to show me that you could get it done without that guy, and that your program, right? That points back to the administration at the school, your athletic director. How strong are they about getting the right guy in there and continuing that program in the right direction?
And let's say this. Let's say this. Because we get a lot of comments on here, and people are throwing out, especially schools outside of 285. Now, I'm just going to be honest, and not because I'm inside of 285. But if you're outside of 285, you got to come play the Heat too now.
Got to.
You got Tiff always came and played Heat. When Upson Lee got good, they tried to play Heat.
Yep.
So
I can't blame Upson Lee. You go to City of Palms, and ain't they fault they put them in the other bracket. That's not Upson Lee's fault. When you go to City of Palms, you went looking for it, and they put you in a different bracket.
Because there are times we think schools are good, and they come up to the city.
Ooh,
Mark, you know this, and next thing they know, they get blasted.
It's a lot of times that kids from out of town, period, transfer in and think that they're good. And then once the season gets started,
they're good. It's just a different style of basketball. I tell kids from South Georgia, I'm like, you can transfer up here, but you're gonna, instead of being a big fish in a small sea down in South Georgia, you're just gonna be a small fish in a big sea, and you're gonna get exposed. I seen kids got exposed at Norcross.
Wow.
y'all talk about me. Locke, who you
He not built like that. He not built like that. He not built like that. Show me you built like that. Say it with your chest. Say it with your chest, Locke. Say it with your chest, Locke.
Hey, look.
He's taking a drink.
Locke,
that cup talking right now.
Locke, is the kid you talking about over 6'7"?
No.
Exactly.
He about 6'2". He about 6'2".
Oh, y'all are wilding.
So, I think, man, it's not easy to play this game, man. But we know know who the guys are.
But wait. So you saying kids come from outside of Atlanta and play in Atlanta and see that this is the real deal and they can't hang?
And like Drake said,
I was talking about teams. I didn't say individuals. I was talking about teams.
No, that's what Locke said. I'm talking about Locke.
I'm saying kids.
Basketball, because
nothing was the same.
They can come up here and play AAU, but when it comes to high school, now you have better players around you, and you have better players with an IQ. So you're not the best player on the team. You might be the third or fourth guy. And it's hard for them to play that role and whatnot. It's just a different style of basketball. Y'all see as the levels go down, single A, 1A, what they doing the whole game, they pressing.
Running up and down the floor, looking crazy.
Hey, come on.
When that guard, single A comes to 5, 6A, he's like, whoa, what the hell y'all run plays?
Oh, hold on. What single like? Because I didn't press at all at St. Francis.
I'm just saying in general.
Oh,
yeah. Hey, so
it's a different brand of basketball. And not saying great coaches in the South, but it's just a different brand, a different style of basketball.
Better look at that last comment. Comment right there.
Locke trying to say that Jaden went to Norcross from the school down in Macon and couldn't hang. Is that what you're saying? Because you described him to a T. That's like my family. That's like my little family, because me and his dad been close for 20-something years. But I'm gonna say this: at the end of the season, the last game of the season, and you only as good as your last game. He was the best player on the team when he scored them 27 points.
Okay, that's why I didn't see it. All right.
I'm not. Y'all are wilding right now. Y'all are wilding.
Hey, so how many did he have? How many did he have out of those 27?
He had 12 of the 27.
Shit.
And they said he could have had more, but he was trying to pass and he wasn't shooting as much. So, I mean, at the end of the year, it was coming. He was one of the better players on the team, hands down. So I think he got used to the bump and he started figuring out his role. So you're right. There is a transition. It's okay to say a kid's name, bro. It's okay, because even he knows. His dad knows. They went in the gym. They struggled. They did what they had to do. They had to figure it out. It's different up here in Atlanta. I tell people on a national level, Atlanta basketball. Okay, let's be clear. Atlanta, Miller Grove coach Sharman put up the other day that Miller Grove is the only team, only public school team ever to get a win in the national tournament at Geico and Dix, ever. But let's also be clear of this. On a consistent basis, we've had more public schools go to Geico and Dix than any other state. A lot of states won't let their kids go, but the state of Georgia sends players. They send kids. We send teams.
Can I ask you one question real quick on that note on Geico? If Wheeler would have went to Geico this year, do you think they would have been the next team to win a game?
I think so. Because they scout so well.
What if they played Montverde?
So well. Christmas, but I think it wouldn't be a monster blowout game. But cancel Christmas.
I mean, yeah. I was just
toys on. Put the toys on. Montverde is arguably the best high school team ever.
Yeah.
Ever. That might be the best high school team we've ever seen.
Ever.
Yeah. Ever. They scary. I wish they would have been able to win that national tournament.
I mean, how do you slow them down?
Point
guard 6'7", and then you got a 6'8" dude that can guard 1 through 5. Come on, man. Come on. I don't think Wheeler could have beat them, but I don't think it would have been a blowout. And if anybody could have beat them, it would be Wheeler because they would have ran their sets. If they could run their sets, then they could beat them.
Yeah, but it's a shot clock. It don't work in Geico like that. I mean,
no, that's actually a good thing for Wheeler when you're running your stuff. Because their system is, once we get that rebound, them first few seconds, if you can get a bucket, get a bucket. If you ain't got it, bring it out. Let's run something. Let's let the defense make a mistake.
They beat McEachern by what, 40, right, over Christmas?
something like that.
Yeah.
That's tough.
I want to talk about that kid, but that dude.
But I don't think they wouldn't have beat last year's McEachern team like that. I don't think so. Not with Isaac Okoro.
Nah.
He was a great equalizer.
Nah,
He's the most underrated player ever in Georgia.
I agree.
This year's team is better than last year's team that went to Geico for sure.
Yeah.
You think so? You think this year's McEachern team is better than last year's?
No, I'm McEachern. My birthday. No.
Oh yeah. They're leaps and bounds better.
So, Mark, we get a lot of smoke from some of these guys.
You was talking about that kid, Lock. Don't stay with your chest, son.
I'm stay with your chest. I was talking about.
How you going?
Talking about Ramsey.
Talking about who?
Daniel Ramsey. That's what he said.
Man, he wasn't 6'2".
No, I didn't say he was 6'2". I just feel like he came up here and he didn't do what he thought he was going to do.
Nothing was the same.
But he's not the only example. No, I feel like
I don't think any kid from Southern Georgia can come up to the city of Atlanta, 7A basketball, and come in and dominate. Because like you guys are saying, it's a different atmosphere. It's a different level of it's a goon team every night.
Every night. I'm gonna use this example. I think Huff had one of those kids. Huff had a kid at Duluth that I still think can really play. The kid that came down from Indiana, that moved down from Indiana. I think he moved back. Yeah. I think he moved to like St. Louis or something now. Yeah. That kid,
you seen her?
That kid was a bucket. That kid could really play, but it wasn't what he expected when he got here. And it wasn't coming as easy for him, I think, as he thought it was going to be, because he didn't realize that coming to Duluth, what region they were in and what type of basketball they was going to be seeing every night. Like, you got to play a little bit different.
Hey, think about this. In Wheeler's region, a couple of guys and I, we counted on our hands how many Division I players were in that region, and we stopped short at 27 Division I players in that region. So you think about it. You come from someplace else where you are a big fish in a small pond, and now you come up here, and every team you play got goons. Put a goon on you, and then you got to guard a goon. You're not used to that.
Yeah,
exactly.
Facts.
I don't even think that's just kids coming from the South. I think that's kids coming from anywhere.
Because I wasn't even thinking about in-state kids. I was thinking about out-of-town kids that came here and didn't get it off like they thought they were going to get it off.
But as we proved, our kids can go out of town and dominate.
Yeah, but
BJ Boston dominated the
There's not too many kids.
Like, I know you see it. I know you see it a lot.
And I'm gonna say this. And BJ's last 2 games in the state of Georgia were 4 points and 9 points. So it wasn't a great. He didn't leave here on the highest level as far as high school basketball, because you said there's a lot of coaching going on. They setting all kind of traps for him. They running all kind of gimmicks for him. So you can't dominate. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But he went out to Cali, played a national schedule, and dominated.
Got busy.
Because he was used to playing against goons every day in Georgia.
Facts.
Like if he didn't get off, it wasn't because he wasn't good enough. It's because they deny him the ball. They're running 2 people at him. Athletic guys, not just regular kids. Kids who are trying to get D1 scholarship.
And that coaching strategy here is next level too.
It's a lot of good coaches out here. A lot of good coaches. Like you guys have been listing all day long.
Like I don't agree with K Money. Brandon Green couldn't have came up here and did that. He got exposed.
Todrick Jackson. Somebody said Todrick could have came here and did that.
Todrick Jackson. Brandon Green got exposed a little bit. Notice that Tiff did not win when Brandon Green was with them.
True. Todrick could have came up here.
I agree with Todrick, but I don't agree with Brandon Green. He would have got some buckets, but like we talking about being a dominant player.
It's hard to dominate here, man.
Yeah.
It's hard to dominate here.
Now,
When's the last time we seen a guy that come from out of town and come and dominate here? Do we consider Lou Will an out of town guy?
Iman
came
from Mississippi and got busy.
Iman got busy this year.
He got busy. He got busy. He got busy. He did. He got busy. He got busy. Nobody was looking for him either, but he got busy.
You're right.
He got busy. He got busy.
Do we consider Lou Will an out of town guy?
I mean, Lou Will got here in what, 7th grade though?
Yeah, I don't consider that out of town.
It was.
You talking about you came in high school?
Nah, Lou Will ain't out of town. He here. He here.
Who?
I mean, did Robert Carter dominate when he came over here?
I don't remember
that. Because Robert Carter was supposed to be McDonald's All-American. At one point, he was ranked in the top 15 in the country.
Yeah, when he was at Tunbridge. Yeah. Exactly.
I will tell you who would have came. I think Reggie Perry would have dominated.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Depending on what region he played in. If he plays in Norcross's region, and you got to see Norcross, who always has a big team, and so he probably would have. He could, because he's a goon. He's a goon. So you don't need to give him the ball. You got to run no plays for him.
Hey, is Morgan County considered in the city? Because they're not.
They're not in the city.
Tookie Brown dominated, dog.
They're not in the city.
Tookie Brown dominated.
Yeah.
Tookie would have dominated anywhere. In the
exactly.
Thanks.
Would have Davion Mitchell dominated and Will Richardson?
Who?
Davion Mitchell and Will Richardson.
Those guys are where? Those guys are what?
They were at Liberty County.
One at Oregon, one at Baylor.
I wouldn't consider them dominant. I mean, I saw them lose at Hoops Given by 40.
Oh.
Davion Mitchell
to Newton County. He played. They said he had the flu, but
everybody gonna be MJ for you.
I mean, I'm just saying. No, I'm just saying. I saw what I saw, right? And
I think both those kids would have played really well. Yeah. I think both those kids would have played really well in Georgia. Yeah. Both those kids. Because Will had super IQ and could shoot the ball really well. Was really smooth, and Davion, he was a freak of nature. It'll take him some time to adjust, like it takes all kids time to adjust. You know.
Last topic, fellas. This came across my timeline. LaMelo Ball and his manager have purchased the Illawarra. I can't pronounce. I'm butchering that name. Hawks, his Australian NBL team that he just finished playing for. He has now purchased that team per Draft Express, and I'm looking at a tweet from verifying it from Bleacher Report. So this young man skipped college, played overseas, went to Lithuania, came back, played in the big baller league here, and then left and went to Australia, played, and has now purchased a Australian professional basketball team. Do we think that he is missing out on playing for free at UCLA?
I think that all kids should be able to follow a professional path like that, if so be it. If that's what they want to do, if they don't want to invest in an education and they want to follow and have basketball be what they want to do for a living, I think they should be free to do it. LaMelo Ball family got vilified for pulling the kid out of high school and making their own route. But overseas, that's what they do anyway. They're allowed to work out and play against professionals from the time they're 13 years old. So when you see a guy like Luka hasn't always been quote unquote Luka. You know what I'm saying? That was the time he had to develop into that player. And he developed into that player by playing against the best competition possible. So as we always say, iron sharpens iron. So can you imagine if a BJ Boston, if a Sharif Cooper, if an Ant-Man, if a Isaac Okoro, we can go down the list and name some of our top kids we've had, if they were able to play against the Atlanta Hawks players every day, practice against them, learn NBA systems, learn professional plays and so forth, lift, do speed and agility, eat right, from the time they're 13 years old. Where would our players be? So LeVar Ball is, he's a genius, because how many other fathers can say, hey, 2 out of 3 of my kids are going to go top 5 in the draft? No, not just play in the league. Going top 5 in the draft.
Top 5, yeah.
In a 4-year span. Top 3.
And
possibly, the
third kid is in the D League right now, or was in the D League at the time that COVID-19 started.
He taking up space in the D League.
Okay.
That's why you're here, big dog.
Get that spot to somebody else, bro.
So guys,
if I'm him, I'm gonna be a GM for the family. I'm gonna be the family GM. Somebody count the money. Somebody be the bean counter. Be the marketing guy. And that's what we talked about before. Enough of our kids are following the wrong path. Everybody does not have to be a basketball player. You can go into marketing. We need athletic directors, not just head coaches and assistant coaches. We need presidents of universities. Those are the people we need in these places. If we truly want to get in the door, have our foot in the door and can keep it there, we have to have people at higher positions. We got to shoot higher.
I'm going to break it. Coach Huff mentioned this on our podcast before, that they needed more young coaches to be certified. I don't know anything about that process or what that looks like, but Huff says it all the time. Guys, go through the steps, handle the business so that you can be put in that position.
The business of basketball is bigger than just bouncing the ball.
For sure. We need
the business of basketball, the people behind the scenes. I love being behind the scenes for years. I made the most money ever when I was behind the scenes. People know who I am. They're like, I ain't gonna mess with him. You behind the scenes and you pulling strings, they don't know who you are. They don't know who they sending checks to. They don't care. You know what I'm saying? We need to be behind the scenes more. We need more GMs.
Yes.
100%. 100%.
And with the education all our kids are getting, why not? If you're getting a free education from University of Michigan, UCLA, those are some of the top public schools in the country academically. I've had a couple kids at Harvard over the past 4 years. I mean, I don't expect them just to think about basketball. I expect them to infiltrate sports in general, on the college side.
For sure. Guys, I'll toss it up. Any parting shots or takes before we get out of here?
I got a shot.
Prayers to back home, man. Prayers to back home.
I got a shot. Shot to Coach Barry Browner, who before the Grayson Wheeler game looked me in my face and told me I was an idiot. That there's no way in the world that Wheeler was gonna be Grayson, and I knew nothing about basketball. I knew nothing about what I was talking about. I wish I could have found you after the game.
And what's so funny? That sounds like Barry. That sounds just like Barry.
He looked at me and said, "You stupid. You don't know nothing."
I can hear Mark. You're a
gotcha. Gotcha. Gotcha.
It's gonna lose to Wheeler.
Cheesing, boy.
Fellas, Huff, Bryce, y'all got anything?
Oh man,
give me a shot, man. I need a shot. Give me a shot, Huff.
I don't. You left me speechless on that one.
Locke, hold on, because Locke gave a shot today. He gave a shot at a couple kids at Norcross. Dre gave a shot.
Huff, can you talk about Huff? Can you talk about the last season record of Holy Innocents versus this season and how you finished?
Oh, wow!
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Hey yo, you brought it up, Bryce. Don't shut it down.
Yeah.
The door.
I'm just trying to help him out.
The door. Go ahead.
Hey man, I appreciate
You did start off. You started off what? 0 like 1 and what?
We were 2-13, bro, and people were shooting shots at us on social media. They were shooting lock shots, telling me what I didn't know what I was doing.
But you know what that's called? That's called that's called BC and AC. Before chance and after chance.
Hey, listen, Mark, I'm gonna say this because you're on here, right? So I had Mark. Andre,
before the shot,
after the shot,
before chance and after chance.
Hey, listen. So Mark, I had a.
What was our record before chance left? What was our record after chance left?
Thank you and good night.
Hey, this has been the Love of the Game podcast. I'm not getting this. I'm out of here, yo.
Y'all called me out last time talking about, Mark, yo, you ain't bring no smoke.
Hey, Mark, you brought it today, Mark.
You brought it today, Mark.
I'm gonna have a smoke machine behind me, bro. I'm renting a smoke machine, bro. Don't play with me. Don't play with me.
This is the Love of the Game podcast. Hey, listen. We're coming back
real quick.
We're not done, man. We're coming back.
The best end that we had.
Hey, listen. Listen. Hey, we always say end on a make, right?
End on a make.
Good shot, dog. Good shot, bro. Good shot.
So we ain't gonna talk about the shot you took at Miller Grove.
I didn't take no shot at Miller Grove, bro.
Because you specifically said which school players ain't produced nothing and so forth. That was a Miller Grove shot. That was subliminal.
I didn't take a shot at Miller Grove. I don't know what y'all talking about. That's all I'm gonna say. Hey, look, Coach White.
I didn't say you took a shot at Sharman. I didn't. No. I didn't say you took a shot at Sharman.
Hey, put that one out.
Sharman is a legend. Sharman is a legend. We'll give him his props. Sharman is a legend. We're saying that you took a shot at Miller Grove kids, saying they ain't did nothing.
Mondre, you did
Speak
say
on it.
I said that you have to be able to. I
don't know.
You got to be able to.
Get out while you can, Mondre. Better tease the next show. Get out while you can.
Hey, listen. So next week, actually, it won't be next week.
They asked for smoke.
We are coming back on.
They said it's a little too smoky. It's a little too spicy.
Smoke inhalation.
Now you trying to have the corona cough. That ain't gonna save you. That's gonna kill you.
So while
corona cough gonna kill you, that ain't gonna save you. You can't run from this.
While we are
social
on
distancing,
while we're
social distancing,
and while we are social distancing, because we love you guys so much, and partially because we're bored, you're gonna get 2 shows every week. Every Thursday night, every Sunday night. Look at Bryce. What?
Yeah, what else you got? What else you got to do, Bryce? What else you got to do?
Yeah, where you going?
Where you going, Bryce? You cannot go.
Hey, don't get Bryce telling his business on the show. Hey, don't tell him what Bryce doing.
Hey, the girls during this quarantine are in the DM.
Man,
hey, Bryce about to get flown out again.
Hey man,
I get on that plane. He in trouble
right now, my guy.
Hey man, I'm out. Bryce on OnlyFans. I'm out.
Hey man, every Thursday night at 8:00, every Sunday night at 8:00, there will be a new episode of Love of the Game. Huff, you want to tell them about Sunday's episode?
Oh man, we're gonna be blessed to have the head coach of North Georgia, Dan Evans, on here. So we're trying to bring y'all a special guest every time we jump on. Coaches and trainers, just like Mark, we all trying to get a little basketball feel right now. So, we're trying to bring y'all a little piece of it so you can hear what recruiting is really like at a D2 that we've been trying to tell y'all to go to.
For sure. It's going to be a lot of fun.
We need to support the teams, college teams in the state of Georgia anyway. The Kennesaw States, the North Georgias, the Clayton States, the Georgia State, University of Georgia, Georgia Tech, Morehouse. You know what I'm saying? We got to support them more. We got to send more of our kids there. Keep kids at home. Keep them at home. Home cooking. Nothing better than home cooking.
They come back anyway.
Yeah.
Facts.
That's our show.
Man, turn that cup around, man.
The Love of the Game podcast. And we out. Cheers.